Hello, hello. Welcome to Angel Insight. My name is Michelle Christides, and I am here to do what I am referring to as a Black Tourmaline, Black Eyed Susan lecture. So, what I mean by that is, I'm going to be offering a meditation, a medicine circle for this attunement on Saturday. And I really wanted to share what this attunement is all about. And I'm also going to be very bold here. I'm going to be sharing some messages that I'm feeling a little vulnerable. I'm feeling a little nervous. So any and all support, if you resonate, please let me know, because there's definitely some nerves. And I know that I'm ready to share this. I'm ready to step into my purpose. So you want the 411? All for one and one for all. Stand tall, be fierce. In all your parts starts home. Hum, drum, beat your feet, retreat, restart, restore, recall, reset, resume your tune. Wow, I've got goosebumps everywhere. How about you? That really feels so on the money for where we are at this moment. I want to share and start this lecture by sharing a conversation that I had with Archangel Michael related to the ethers. So, there were some questions I presented to my team, and Archangel Michael is helping me learn about the medicine that I have to offer to humanity. And, there's a lot of questions involved. So I was having a conversation about the ethers, and I'm just going to share this conversation. Archangel Michael wanted to give me a channeled message. And it's interesting, as soon as I got the word to receive the message, I instantly felt very queasy. The ethers bring fire at this time to support and assist in the purification process needed to move to the new earth. The earth has recently split, and the entrance into the new earth means no shadow and no demons. The ethers seek to create a rite of passage. The ethers are spirit driven, and right now it's all about fire. In order to understand the role of the ethers, you must first comprehend the significance of your mental body, which actually is a direct correlation to the quality of your masculine energy, which are the steps that we take, right? The actions that we make. To overcome the rules of engagement of will, we have forgotten the devotion to pull rather than to push. With haste makes waste. First, we must heal the wounds of imbalance. These are the wounds that keep our feminine and masculine energies from working together. These are the wounds I am being shown. Ugh, deep goosebumps. Ooh, and I'm feeling emotional because it kind of feels like an honor to be shown these wounds. These are the wounds that are preventing synergy. Frequency has a direct relationship with wisdom. The bugs, which have derailed our God frequency, are artificial. Spiritual warfare created technology in the future. And I have been shown that for years. And this technology in the future has a quantum effect on all living things. Magic is an abuse of wisdom. This is how we got here in the first place. Now, this all seems to be related to artificial intelligence, the use of artificial intelligence, will corrupt and lead man to do unspeakable things against one another. Modern man is obsessed with technology, unaware of its shadows. Many will replace thought with machine and will severely limit humanity. What use is discernment when what you receive is automated and automatic? How ironic that the machine, like in war games, taking it back, taking it back into the 80s, will see humanity unfit and create bugs to keep us. And when I say bugs, they literally come in as bugs and they're artificial and they do not. Well, let me keep reading. Create bugs to keep us from being able to create, devoiding humanity of the God impulse, which will perpetually reinforce the need for humanity to be punished. Because these are artificial, there is no way to clear them except with frequency. Now, we're not talking about the sound that you hear frequency. We're talking about your sound, your frequency. The cure is wisdom, and the natural world is at the forefront. The animals, the crystals, the plants, the indigenous tribes. We have lost the wisdom. The more you rely on the artificial, the more you lose the wisdom of the all. Humans believe themselves to be above animals and plants, and in doing so will create the limitation until learned. The artificial weaponized our shadows and our demons. So without the shadows and demons, they can't wreak havoc. Nervous system changes are not related to shadow. They are related to the bugs that altered our mental and emotional blueprint. Okay. Wow. Okay, I did it, Spirit. And you know what? I'm still here. It was a lot to share that, but it is the cornerstone of my purpose. So I've been shown 13 in our chakra system. We hold these artificial. Okay, I want to keep you that they're artificial, and what they do is they alter our sound and alter our experience. So today we're going to start with one of the first wounds, okay? And there is a process to this. This wound is the wound of Mars, actually, and it manifests in our solar plexus, okay? And the shadow bug that comes in are beetles. Now, if you know anything about beetles, when there's a beetle infestation, it's very similar to like locusts. But what's different is the beetle has a perpetual pattern, very cyclical pattern, okay? And so what they do is they destroy foliage. If you have Japanese beetles, and this is actually happening in different areas around, the United States, we're going to be centered in, for this lecture, we're going to be talking about Navajo Nation. And right now, their crops are infested with beetles, okay, that are keeping their yields low and etc. And this is what this bug, okay, like we are not a computer system. This is not a simulation. However, if we were a computer system, this is what I'm talking about, the bugs, okay? And so these attunements are kind of like Norton antivirus, right? They are here to fix the glitches that many of us carry. These are collective wounds, y'all, okay? And so the wounds that we're talking about today, there are 5 wounds that affect the divine feminine, and then 8 wounds that affect the divine masculine. And what this keeps is this synergy. And so it's like we're receiving, but we're not putting into place in the right action, or we're taking action without receiving. There's all of this mess up, right? And with what the Beatles have to do with a lot is really what we want to do is we want to take back our power. And so we're going into Navajo Nation to learn more about this medicine. We've been led here, okay? So corn is sacred to the Navajo. And in fact, there are 4 plants that are sacred to the Navajo: corn, squash, beans, and tobacco. And it is shown that growing those crops together, they help each other grow. But it also, I've learned that when you eat the corn, the squash, and the beans, those 3 foods actually, they hit 93% of the dietary intake that we need. So this indigenous tribe, they know what they're doing, okay? They know what they're doing, and they've been doing it for thousands of years. Corn is seen as sacred, as a living entity representing life, sustenance, spiritual harmony, rather just food. It's often called Mother's Earth workmanship. Now, I just shared that corn is one of the 4 sacred plants deeply tied to the origin story and the concept of walking in beauty with a balanced life. And this is the cornerstone of the Navajo belief system, and that's why I'm mentioning it, okay? Because it's to understand all the connection here. The symbol of connection between people and the earth, it is the most sacred substance for the Navajo, is corn pollen. Now, the Navajo actually believe that some beetles are sacred, and some are the ripener, and some are pests. But the ripeners are the ones that work with the flies and the crickets to pollinate, right? And to allow these to grow. Now, when we're talking about black tourmaline, we're going to talk about that. We're going to kind of go back and forth, okay? As I was taken into the Navajo, I quickly learned about the relationship between the Navajo and uranium. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time here, okay, because I don't want to get lost in the sauce, but let me just say, tears ran from my eyes when I became familiar with what has happened to the Native American people and what they have endured, really since 1868 with the long walk when they were put on a reservation. And, between World War II, where they were found to be, great in transmitting messages, right? The Navajo and many other Native American indigenous tribes felt that they were going to be protected. That was part of the peace treaty. And so it is really kind of unthinkable, some of the things that have happened, okay? And I don't want to spend our whole time there, but I do want to let you know that that there is a relationship there, okay? There are over 1,000 abandoned uranium mines, okay, in Navajo Nation, and it is unbelievable that to this day that these people have, bad drinking water. They've been affected in so many ways, as I'm going to share. And it's part of the medicine of understanding this medicine. Okay. So for the Navajo, like I said, the beetles were sacred. Now, in some of my research, I found and led to share with you about the electrostatic interactions of black tourmaline. I had mentioned that Archangel Michael has told us that the ethers are really using fire. Okay, the Holy Spirit has really immersed all of us, our planet, into fire, right? And which is really interesting about black tourmaline, because black tourmaline creates an electrical change when subject to stress or pressure. It becomes electrically polarized when it heats up, and it is believed that when this happens, it neutralizes EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, from electronic devices. It's long time been revered by the Navajo for protection and grounding qualities. Black-eyed Susan is also known as an Indian summer. Now, black-eyed Susan is one of my favorite plants. I just love black-eyed Susans. And black-eyed Susan and black tourmaline are found to be natively found in the Navajo Nation. That's where we've been led there. So these are native crystals and plants that grow with purpose in the same area. Okay, and that's where the medicine comes. The leaves of black-eyed Susans are arrow-shaped. Okay, and arrows, I'm going to be sharing this mandala with you, okay, which actually you can see the arrows. Arrows are all about protection, okay? In the Navajo language and Native American symbolism, arrows are the sign of protection. And they've been using the roots for teas, infusions, to treat colds, respiratory functions, earaches, for thousands of years. They use part of the plant for wounds and burns, okay? But there's this relationship that's even deeper, okay? Because we're not talking about using the medicine ingesting. We're talking about awakening the wisdom within your energetic blueprint of this combination, okay? And when you awaken to this wisdom, it actually shifts your frequency, okay? Especially because it is the attunement to that I will facilitate the healing of these beetles, okay? And in your energetic blueprint, these beetles, which are ravaging your power station, they're keeping you from your power, okay? And so that's why it's just like anyway, we're not going to go into that right now because I don't want to get lost. I want to go back to the lecture here. But yes, in your energetic blueprint, these get stuck in the layers of the aura, okay? These get stuck in the layers of the aura and they create a lot of havoc in your energetic field, right? So black-eyed Susan has a really beautiful relationship with uranium. Now, uranium, if you're not familiar, friends, is used to make what? Nuclear weapons. It is kind of interesting that the biggest supply of uranium, almost 4 million tons of uranium pulled out of Navajo country, of course, unexpected. Of course, they did not know that this was a huge risk to their health. They were not taken care of. Okay, you can look this up on your own. It's just unbelievable, to be honest. Literally the forgotten people. And we're not forgetting them. And in fact, their ceremony is a solid structure of overcoming this bug, okay, and allowing your power station to work. But anyway, black-eyed Susan has a relationship with uranium. It is actually known to be able to absorb and store heavy metals within the plant without killing it. These metals include uranium. They also include zinc. Their deep, fast-growing roots, they reach into the contaminated soil and pull out the pollutants, which accumulate in the shoots and the leaves. And while they do this naturally, they have found to continue to grow, and they have been found to grow just naturally in these abandoned mine areas. Okay, now it is a native plant. It's going to spread. And as you will find, there's more to share. Now, I'm being led to share with you an incident that happened so that we can understand how the Navajo in particular have felt like a forgotten people. There was an incident called the Church Rock incident. Now, it happened 4 miles after the 3 Mile Island incident. It is actually unbelievable. I had no idea, and so I want to pay this forward that more than 1,000 tons of radioactive mill waste and 93 million gallons. 93 million gallons. Like, that is a lot, folks, of acidic radioactive solution flowed into the Perico, and I may be saying that wrong, River, and traveled 80 miles downstream straight into Navajo country. It is known, this particular river is known to be used for livestock. Local medicine man derived their medicinal native plants from the riverbanks. Children played in the river in the summer months. This is actually the largest recorded incident in U.S. history. And how come we don't know that much about it, folks? In 1979, there was a request made by the leaders of the Navajo to declare a disaster area. And it was actually denied. And this was after losing tons of livestock, after literally children taken to the hospital with burns on their feet, okay? No one was warned. For 2 years, the government trucked water in, and then all of a sudden stopped, and so they were forced to go back to the river. Now, the Navajo I've mentioned, they feel like forgotten people, and they actually set up, what's it called? A nonprofit called Forgotten People. And just writing about this, honestly, it made me so emotional, you guys. I mean, it is unbelievable what these people have been through, okay? And I just wrote, how could this happen? How could no one really know? But the Forgotten People are empowering the residents to take development into their own hands. The water, the air, the ground continues to be problematic. And I'll be honest, while I was, doing this, I just couldn't stop crying. The descendants of these mining families, they still have extremely high rates of ovarian and testicular cancer. Now, my son is a stage 4 testicular cancer survivor. So I know what these people must be going through. And to just be abandoned and to deal this, until this day, there's a 20% increase in lung cancer for Navajo people. Also links to birth defects. There is a 1,500% increase to testicular and ovarian cancer in the children. Now, this goes back to things that were done. In 2005, the Navajo halted all uranium mining, okay? So we're talking 20 years, we're still dealing with the problems. A 500% increase in bone cancer, in 250% increase in leukemia, a 200% increase in miscarriage, infant death, defects, and learning disorders. Okay, so Black-Eyed Susan has a tendency to thrive in waste areas. They thrive in post-fire. In the language of flowers, Black-Eyed Susan symbolizes justice, courage, encouragement, and motivation. It represents resilience and a positive outlook. The belief to succeed amongst challenges. The Native Americans believed they possessed protective qualities and were used in ceremony aimed at promoting growth and protection. Now, like I shared, Black-eyed Susan, for thousands of years, has believed to hold protective properties and to ward off negativity, and that's why it blends so nicely with black tourmaline. These are guardians coming forward, my friends. Guardians, okay? When you look at a black-eyed Susan, it reminds you of the sun's power to banish the darkness. It is believed to penetrate through deep, dense layers of mental and emotional barriers. The flower is often associated with the cycles of life, death, and rebirth in the Native American folklore. And we're going to share about the beautiful ceremony and the interconnectedness that the Navajo teach, which is really important to this attunement, okay, and to the medicine of this attunement. Black-eyed Susan has also a connection to intuition and psychic abilities. Meditating with Black-eyed Susan, or maybe with a Mandela, okay, we're going to get into that more, can enhance your divinity practice. It can open your mind to deeper insights and spiritual guidance, particularly useful when getting clarity and vision, when you're seeking clarity and vision, which so many workers, those of us that are going into the new earth, those of us that are stepping into that role, are really getting a lot of clarity and vision around their purpose at this time. And so this comes forward specifically to assist you, okay, to assist you. Now, not all the parts of Black-eyed Susan are safe to eat. So I want to put that out there for all you foragers, but it is safe to use the roots. And like I said, they've been making teas from the roots, used for respiratory things, but I also heard as a purifier. The growth pattern in clusters represents community, and the flower community, the spiritual community coming together to assist. And I was led to talk about the healing properties of the Navajo. I participated in a lecture of my own by Dr. Lori Elvard, who is actually the first Navajo woman to actually ever be certified in surgery. And what I love about her teaching and about being led, and if you want me to share that with you, I'd be happy to, okay, is that we have in what's so beautiful is in our current day and age, I believe medicine and being around medicine my whole entire life is going to change. And I love that this particular doctor, she, of course, has been raised in Navajo. She's been, raised in all the things, and they have ceremonies, specific ceremonies throughout the lifetime. These ceremonies, they allow purification, they allow healing the disharmony in your life. And what's so important is they allow a fresh start. And that is a huge message that we want to see moving forward. So what this lecture talked about was interconnectedness. Let's say that again, interconnectedness. Interconnection can teach ways to honor our natural world. There's a connection that we have with the Creator, and it gets intensified with ceremony. And ceremony is like the universal mind in the Navajo. And what that does is it really opens up this gamut of this connection. And there's a couple examples that she presented that I would like to present of this interconnection. We have this beautiful relationship with plants. When we breathe out carbon dioxide, that is what they need for breath, and then they give us the oxygen. So there's this beautiful interconnectedness. There's a beautiful interconnectedness with water. When we drink water, we excrete. So it's like there's these things that go round and round. Our breath, the Navajo believe is part of the ancient wind. When we eat an apple, which has carbons and that goes through and nourishes our body, and then we have the waste, which then goes back to nature, and it starts the process again. Thoughts have great power. It is possible to speak something into existence. Ceremony is like a support group, and it influences the mind body science. Now, there was a famous dying medicine man. Dying is what how the Navajo refer to themselves. And he said the key to restoring a person to health, whether it's mental or physical, is to purify the thought. The thought is the foremost energy we have as a person. Ceremony is done to beautify the thought. Okay? And once again, I'm going to share that ceremony creates purification of that thought, which heals the disharmony, which gives you a fresh start. And that's why no matter what has been done to these Navajo people, something that can't be taken is this beautiful view. It really is something that we all need to learn. And that's what's so beautiful about their ceremony. All right. As I was listening to the lecture, I recalled my journey to these lands a few years ago. And in fact, the picture I shared is a picture I captured in Antelope Canyon, which is the most beautiful place I've ever been to. Oh my gosh, in Page, Arizona. If you get a chance, you got to go. It literally is like, I have like hundreds of photos. You just turn ever so slightly and it's different. And that picture I shared was just a beautiful heart that I found, and it seems so fitting to share with you guys today. And while I was out, we were on this road trip, and I was so sick, y'all. Okay, I remember waking up. We were traveling overnight from a place that we've been in Colorado, and we were heading to Page. And when I woke up in the morning, it was just red everywhere. It was the most unbelievable world. It was my first time. So that was unbelievable. But I really remember being so sick. I was like, oh my gosh, my stomach was upset. And I wondered the whole time, is it more than car sickness? And you know what? My team has told me it was more. I was picking up on so much of the betrayal in the land. The land was speaking. And I hope that you're seeing that there's purpose. Why the black tourmaline and why the black-eyed Susans growing in that specific area with purpose. And why the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is letting the fire so that the black tourmaline can be actually heated up. And do you know what happens to black tourmaline when that happens? It becomes a purifier. It becomes a purifier. Okay. Ceremony involves, okay, that's actually a note for me. All right. So now that I've shared a little bit about the research that I was led to, I'm going to share some messages that I received from my team related to this attunement. Forgive me. Okay. All right, some other things I'm led to share with you. Okay, I mentioned that this particular attunement, it treats the beetles that affect your power station or your spark. Okay, your spark is being affected by these beetles because it's constantly going through there's just this disharmony, okay? And we're going to share what that's all about, because really this medicine is coming forward, these wounds that affect the feminine. It's time for us to heal these wounds. They are wounds that are related to the closing of the wounding. I had shared recently that we had the portals closed to the 5 wounds. These are them. We can now heal them. And as we heal them, I'm just going to kind of show this diagram that these are the 5 wounds. I've been led to do them in a certain order. We're starting with the beetles, which is really the second wound. It is the wound we received from Mars. Okay. And so these wounds are collective. They are cosmic. Okay. They are collective. They are cosmic. They are celestial. And we're going to, I'm going to share the mandala that I was led, but we're also going to share a little bit more. The blueprint of this particular Black Tourmaline and Black-Eyed Susan combination, the blueprint is to be your most authentic makeup, protected from captivity. All the medicine coming to you allows you to grow, expand your knowing that you are safe and secure, because you know quite well, those of you who align with this attunement, align with this medicine, you know quite well how to see with the eye of shadow, and that is given so much purpose in your life. You will only see moving forward that like it is that which is not evil. So like what I'm trying to say is, when this energy came in, when this was channeled to me, again, Archangel Michael teaching me, when the Indians use sage, they'll take the sage that's burning and they will say, I will see no evil. I will hear no evil. I will say no evil. My heart is open. My heart is open. And that is what this attunement is trying to say to you. It is a sacred ceremony between you and the earth, bathed in abundance. All that keeps you hidden will be repelled. Walk on mountains to avoid pitfalls. The beetle threatens to destroy ancestral traditional ways, which causes separation from the root. This attunement gets to the root of that which is causing you harm, leaving you with future discernment related to the exposure in the form of wisdom. This attunement reinforces the strength to have a bright future. Lens for what you believe is true. You could perceive that you are persecuted, or rather know the truth that you are authentically liberated and free, no matter what another has done. There is a reverence here, and it's grounded in gratitude for that which you have experienced. This attunement leads to the frequency of wisdom. Now, there's some other things we're going to share. Of course, someone's at my door. Okay. So as I was doing this, I'm sorry. Isn't that funny? Everything happens for a purpose. All right, Toby. When I went into the energy of this attunement, my Archangel Michael wanted to do what's called a show and tell. And so I'm going to share with you a show and tell of how this attunement works in your energetic field. This medicine works. Okay. I could see a dense-like energy. Well, first of all, when this happened, right away, there was a noticeable shift from my mid-ear up. It was interesting because I felt very hyper-vigilant, and I wasn't even looking within yet. I wasn't even like in meditation. I could feel movement, and I actually asked, am I okay? Because it was like that noticeable. I did see a dense like energy, and I could feel it. I saw something move quickly to the left. Sorry, someone's at the door. Toby, shh. Okay. Sorry. I know you can hear. I could feel the weight And not just on my back, but also on my head, on the top of my head. So it's like, that weight on your shoulders. It also was on my head. Toby, leave it. All right. Toby, please. All right. Like I said, I could feel a weight, not just on my back, but also on my head. I had a quivering in my throat, expansion across in many spots, lots of movement to the left, and now with color of reds and oranges. Okay, I get a hint of the vibration. It pulses through my heart, and I heard my soul. Both movement through my mind's eye, and lots of red, lots of up and down and all around. I could feel a pulse. This shadow had a pulse. And as I write, I don't even want to write that, but I do. What's interesting and what I couldn't think of was how to describe. So I let the words come to the surface: pulsating, drums, feet, and beat, sacred connection to the earth, children. It's like a sundial, yes, that moves through like that, moving through my energy. Most of what I have written is all with my eyes open. Now I'm going to go in. I see sparkles, transformative. So many sensations. The ears expand, the neck as well. The eyes come into focus. The breath. I hear identity scalped, feeling sorrow and worry, commitment to the land, recommitment to the land, and to walk according in trust with the wisdom. Honor thyself. There is a reverence here. It is ceremony. It is intention. And I want to preface this that this is all before I met that other lecture, okay? It is something that builds and has the power of self, the power of what we call tribe, and those who know call family. Get your journals ready with this attunement. When you calm the storm and the swarm, you cultivate expertise. The wind funnels around as I'm held strong and grounded. There is nothing more that can be done. I find myself calling to the wind, grandmother wind. The inner throat expands. I cough. I feel the peace pipe. Wow, revelation. A buzz through my eyes. Ceremony. Reverence. I see no evil. I hear no evil. I say no evil. The hood of the brotherhood protected. Collapse. Don't resist. No more persist. Protected. Allow. Creates fire. Enlightenment. As I chuckle because light in is what's coming. Across the head. Not all is to be remembered. True remembrance doesn't involve heavy, lighter. I hear a chorus in the background. Rise up, the mountains carry you. True mastery knows it is wisdom to not let the shadows overshadow the remembrance of what you have endured, purified in fire and ceremony. Now I feel fire and air. I hear drought, thirst, burst, blow ahead gasket, pain in the side, loss of vibration, sliding in both directions, heavy on my chest, heaviness in my eyes. I see the colors blue and purple through my mind's eye. It feels like a magnet. I see like an anvil dropping through my energetic field, pulling the weight from where it started. The sun rises, illumination. The sun rises, illumination. And as I closed, I heard hijack. Now I'm going to share the mandala that I created. was led to create. I was led to use the symbols that are important to the Navajo. I want to go as close as I can. Okay. Um, because there are eight circles here, and spirit is talking about your abundance, and we're going to go from the outside in so that we can, as you can tell, this is uh I did this in free form, so it's not exact, but you get the message here. First of all, on the outer edge is rope. This is a symbol for rope, and what this does and why it's coming in here is it blocks captivity. And no longer will you be captive to that which, is trying to block your creation, that which is keeping you from growing the seeds, yielding, and harvesting. Okay. So that rope on the outside, here on the outside, is the alchemy. As we go in, this is actually the symbol for the sky band and what is known to lead to happiness. And this is really talking about authentically as we move from the outside in, okay? This is like authentically aligning with that fire, aligning with that root, the remembrance of ceremony, the connection to this indigenous tribe, the sky band, that which leads us to happiness. As we move in the arrow, now I mentioned earlier that the arrow shaped leaves of the black tourmaline. So this is a mandala of the healing properties of this attunement. For the Navajo and Native Indians, the arrow means medicine from the earth. And we use this green color because this is a tonic, a medicine for your heart, a medicine for what many, for the heart block. I can feel it right now. So there's this block, there's this fear to kind of go into this heart block and to face this fear. And this is created from those beetles. Okay, remember, it's a perpetual pattern where it's like you feel like you're getting on your feet and it's like the rug is pulled under you. And it's just like you lace up the bootstraps. I mean, I resonate with this so deeply. Of course, I had this wound. Um, and of course, these attunements came in to help me heal these wounds. And as I pay them forward, it helps me step into my purpose. But what am I doing? I'm the facilitator, folks. We're opening up and we are activating your wisdom to this attunement. Okay? And this is what allows your frequency to shift. Let's continue to move in. You are so protected. As we move into the circle, this is right here, the symbol for mountains. Look at that blue skies. It's like all the obstacles you have. This is where the attunement was telling you that you can walk on mountains, no pitfalls. And so it's like the attunement, it's like the indigenous people, it's like the spirit world is helping you from avoiding the pitfalls. Okay. And so as you walk in the blue, in communication with spirit. Under the mountains is this ring of what is being called this ring of fire. Okay? This ring of fire. And what this does is it represents your spark. Okay? This represents your spark. And in that, and enclosed in that spark are these inner parts. Okay? So we're going to work from your spark moving in. Okay? But as your spark, your creativity, your insights, and it's I wouldn't be surprised for a lot of you if things flood in, okay? If things flood in, which is why you need to get that notebook ready, all right? But the big mountain is all about abundance. This big mountain is all about abundance, and these these mountains, they point to the west, and this is telling you that is the end of persecution. It is the end of feeling like you are forgotten, that you also are a forgotten person. The medicine is so strong here, and it is the wisdom of this indigenous tribe coming forward to allow you to know that your spark is an integral part here. Your creativity, your your brilliance is needed. Now, as we continue to work in, this is the symbol for rain. So it's like the rain comes in to support the pillars of your creativity. So, yes, this symbol is rain pouring in. You see this orange color. So, this is that zest, this new zest for life, this new, your spark can, and you look at your spark is contained. That's where we're going backwards. So it's like all this is enclosed in one another. So under your obstacles is this spark, and it is yours, okay? And you need to believe that you have a fresh start. The rains have come in to water the crops, to allow you to start again. And as you start again, not only when you get rid of the beetles, not only will you bloom and yield, but you will be able to harvest that which you have created. And as we move in here, we see the medicine man. This is a symbol of the medicine man. This is red, deeply connecting us to our ancestry. And the medicine man is rooted in this medicine. It is part of it that the medicine man is watching over you and is really passing this wisdom to you. And in the innermost is the thunderbird, the sacred bearer of happiness. And this is talking about you being in your most authentic self, free of the bugs that try to derail your creations, the creator that you are. So, I've shared a lot of information here. This is as I was sharing, this is the first of 5 wounds that affect the divine feminine. And this is where we were before the portals closed, okay, the woundings. And I know may not make sense to you, but our lower chakras, they literally have, I've been seeing this ever since I went into Reiki. I could see these dark imprints, these darkness in the chakras. Okay, I could see them. And that's because these are the artificial bugs. Okay, and remember, it is with wisdom and frequency and the elimination of shadow and the elimination of demons. Now, demons are really just created in times of trauma between you and another. Oftentimes, we're dealing with demons that were created on other timelines, and so it can be really confusing. And so that's why this medicine comes in. This medicine comes in. Now, this is where we are. Go back here. This is where we are now that the portals have closed, but this is where we want to go. This is the healing. And basically, rather than starting in the house of desire, so the feminine energy is taught to reside in our sacral, okay? But actually, the sacral is kind of like the serpent energy, our spark. And it's time for us to rise, my friends, okay? And so when we heal these 5 wounds, rather than starting with desire, we actually start in harmony. Healing these wounds allows our feminine energy to rise from the sacral up into the heart. And that is what this diagram is showing. No longer, in many ways, with these wounds, there's like a convergence of those timelines. And instead of just having the desire and then passing that off to the masculine, which is all about the push, all about rather than the pull, what we're really doing is getting the feminine and masculine energies into sync, so that we can move beyond, we can embrace our creative spirit, and we can move forward from this loop that has been constant for thousands of years. It's time. There's nothing more that can be learned here. Now, I know people are going to have all kinds of opinions, and I welcome them. Um, I certainly am strong enough to deal, but I would like to know what resonates, what kind of feedback you have, what kind of questions you have. I want to tell you that I am doing a medicine circle this Saturday, which is tomorrow, April 4th at 11 a.m. And I know that works for different times, Central Standard Time. If you're interested, please just drop a comment. You can email me. I put my email in the description. Or you can just send $33 is all it is. $33. And I will facilitate these energies. And okay, there's not more to stay there, but I feel like to end where we started. Okay. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I'd be happy to maybe come back if there's a lot to answer any questions. For those that resonate with this work, for those that resonate, please let me know, because like I said, it's very vulnerable and I would like your feedback. You want the 411? All for one and one for all. Stand tall, be fierce. In all your parts starts home. Hum, drum, beat your feet, retreat, restart, restore, recall, reset, resume your tune. Anyone that's called to do a tuning session where I go into your energy and see what are the attunements you need, followed with a 12-card oracle to recode and to resume your tune, please let me know. Email me. I'd be happy to do a session with you. Thank you very, very much. Have yourself a great day, and I look forward to you participating in tomorrow's medicine circle. Again, it is Saturday, April 4th at 11 a.m. Thank you. Have yourself a great Friday.